Hi guys, when Donald Trump was last in the White House, it wasn't really possible for the UK to sign a trade deal with the US. Then when the Biden administration took over, they had shown zero interest in an FTA with Britain. However, one of the benefits you'll hear from Brexit backers who happen to be Donald Trump supporters is that the UK will be at the front of the queue to sign a wonderful trade deal with the US now. But one of the major concerns with such a deal is how UK agriculture could be impacted. The EU has very high standards, which administrations like Donald Trump's don't like. So with the news that Robert Lighthizer has been appointed to Donald Trump's future administration, have a listen to what he had to say about US agricultural exports when he spoke to a congressional hearing back in June 2020.
The UK, we will have agricultural problems in that negotiations, I can guarantee you. They will tend to be in the SPS area. There is a sense in Europe, which I think is shared, hopefully not as deeply with the UK as it is with Europe, and that is this issue that American food is unsafe. So I think, and I think it's thinly veiled protectionism. I often comment that using standards as protection has been risen to the state of a high art in Europe. They're among the best places in the world to figure out ways to get protectionism by pretending like it's a standard and not have it be science-based. So these are very difficult issues with Europe, and they will be very difficult issues with the United Kingdom also. I'm hopeful that we'll work our way through them. But on areas of American agriculture, the United States, this administration is not going to compromise, right? We either have a fair access or agriculture, or we won't have a deal with either one of them.
There you have it. So, first of all, what an absolute charlatan suggesting that EU standards are being used as a type of protectionism. No, in Europe, we like to have high standards. Now, how is this going to impact the UK? Well, if the UK wants to have a trade deal, and I keep saying this, if they want to have a trade deal with the US, they're going to have to make massive compromises. You know, he's saying in Europe, they don't want our food because they think it's unsafe. Now, with the UK outside the European Union, or I should say Great Britain, because Northern Ireland's a separate case, but with Great Britain outside the European Union, it means that, well, it's going to be an open market in a sense, because if the Labour government are being pressured by the Tories and maybe Nigel Farage to sign a trade deal with the US, what are they going to give up? If it's agriculture, we saw the consequences of doing trade deals with New Zealand and Australia. Decimating, terrible for UK farming. Australian farmers were laughing on TV about this. How could they sign such a terrible trade deal? That was Brexiteers. Now, you would hope that the Labour government would be protecting farmers, protecting agriculture. But if they need to have a trade deal, if they want to have a trade deal, they're going to have to make massive compromises. And, you know, the agricultural lobby in the US is extremely strong. And it's going to put pressure on Congress. This is not so much about Donald Trump. This is about Congress. Because it's Congress that will do the trade deal. The massive amount of pressure put on Congress to do a trade deal that's beneficial to agriculture in the US. To hell with the UK. That's the approach the US will be taking. It will require a government that's strong, that's willing to stand up to the US when it comes to protecting agriculture in the UK. And I don't know if Keir Starmer has that level of grit. I don't know whether he's willing to make compromises elsewhere in order to protect farming. We'll have to wait and see. But we also have to remember that if the UK signs a trade deal to lower standards in Great Britain, then it's going to increase checks between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Because Northern Ireland is part of the single market when it comes to goods. So if the UK wants to have a better relationship with Europe, it needs to align with EU standards. If it wants to have a better relationship with the US, it has to align with US standards. It has to be willing to allow all sorts of crap to come in. And this is going to create problems, political problems too. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. And finally, I've asked this question on social media. What benefit to Britain is Donald Trump becoming president? Because I don't see any.